A teraz w Katowicach nasz specjalny gość, prezydent Petro Poroszenko. Mr. President, what are, from your point of view, the scenarios of the finishing war in Ukraine?
There is only one scenario. This is the victory of the free democratic world and victory of Ukraine.
But what do you mean victory? In which sense?
Victory is the two main components. First is a sustainable security situation on the continent, not in Ukraine, but on the continent, or even in the world. And that is possible only with the Ukrainian full membership in NATO and withdraw all the Russian troops from Ukrainian territory. And the second factor for the victory is deputinization. Deputinization of Europe, deputinization of Russia, deputinization of Germany, Poland, everything. We should stop any attempt of Putin using the democratic mechanism to undermine the stability and peace on the continent.
What is the timeline of these changes and the final of the war, from your point of view?
Frankly speaking, this is significantly depend on five factors. And this is my victory plan for Ukraine and for Europe. First is the weapons. We have a lack of weapons. First of all, ammunition and jet fighter, artillery, and the long-range missiles, because this is the absolutely new type of the war. Second is a sanction. The effectiveness of the sanction is to cut Russian export capability. And with that situation, the effective sanction can press Putin to push, to sit on the table of negotiation after withdrawing of the troops. Third is a justice, and Putin should be behind the bar in Hague. Fourth is a economic support to help us to survive. This is not talking about the reconstruction, that would be later on, but financial support to survive. And five is a full membership of Ukraine in EU and NATO. And if we can coordinate these five steps, we can have the victory in a very short period of time.
What do you mean a short period? Because I think that the world today is waiting for, a fast end of this conflict, of this war. There are some talks, some voices from the West about ceasefire. Do you think that the Ukrainian nation is just ready for having ceasefire with Russians?
Definitely not, because ceasefire is a chance for Putin. Ceasefire means that Putin can again collect the troops, collect the money, collect the weapons, and attack. And where Putin would be next Putin attack, nobody knows. Maybe in Poland, maybe in Baltic, maybe continue the offensive in Ukraine. I want to make such an example. When anybody said about the compromise, about the ceasefire, the murderer come to your house, rape your wife, kill your children, you staying on the second floor, he occupied the first floor and said, okay, let's have a compromise. Let's have a ceasefire. No, the aggressor should be punished, and there is no any other way for doing that. Another thing is what those who's telling about the compromise with Russia, I want to tell the very simple answer. Putin want to kill us. Putin provided genocide. Putin organized Bucha, Irpin, Mariupol, and killing the dozens, if not the hundreds, of the 100,000 of the innocent Ukrainian victims. And he want to kill me. And I want to live, the same like Ukrainians want to live, in our own state. How can we find out a compromise with that situation? No chance.
But your main ally is United States and NATO. And there are some voices in NATO that maybe stopping the war, it will be in favor of free world today. Are you able to fight without support of NATO and US if they just follow this type of thinking?
First of all, our main ally, and I appreciate the great leadership of United States and President Biden. But our main ally, not simply strategic partner, but main ally, is Poland. And Poland demonstrate now the great leadership. Polish people, Polish government, Polish Sejm, Polish president, and we are very much appreciate. Our main ally is Great Britain and our main ally is Europe, and we have such a strong faces. And when those who saying about the compromise, who saying about, okay, we have Ukrainian fatigue, we are tired, compare what Ukrainian people feeling. And this is exactly what I mentioned when I talk about the deputinization. Please stop, receive the finance from Russia. Stop, play. No matter if you are NGO, if you are journalist, if you are politician, stop playing for Russia. Russia is toxic. Russia is criminal. Russia is providing the genocide, and there is no any other doubts that that would be responsibility for that. And with that, we need to unanimous voice for the Ukrainian future membership in NATO, because this is the investment in the stability of the continent. This is not a gift or assistance for Ukraine.
Do you think that your partners from the West understand it?
No doubt. And look, I know that because when I was, by the way, when we have a NATO summit in Warsaw, and then NATO summit in Brussels, where I participate as a president of Ukraine, I, both together with the presence of President Obama and President Trump, I said, who is against Ukrainian membership in NATO? Nobody was. And when we still have, since year 2008, since Bucharest, we have promises that, okay, Ukraine would be the NATO member state and the door of NATO is open for Ukraine. Now is the time to demonstrate that. We are not talking about that NATO should use Article 5 to protect Ukraine. No, because now Poland, Europe, and US is protected not by Article 5, but the blue and yellow umbrella of Ukrainian armed forces. And when we said that we need to have an effective negotiation with Russia, we have one very efficient negotiator, the best in the world for speaking with Russia. Do you know his name? This is Armed Forces of Ukraine, which was created by me since year 2014. And they have a brilliant negotiation when Russia tried to encircle Kiev, we throw them away. In Kharkiv region, we throw them away. In Kherson, we throw them away. And they do miracle. And another miracle, and I'm very much optimistic on that, would be on Ukrainian offensive. The only thing we need for that, ammunition. Please, long-range missile for ruin Russian logistic. Please, jet fighter for return the dominance in Ukrainian sky. Please. We don't need your soldiers. We have one of the best soldiers in the world. But we are fighting for the freedom and democracy, and we need more weapons.
I believe that the war will finish pretty soon, and there are some new challenges you face as a society, as a state. Are you ready for democratic changes, for new regulations, just to make your system clear and credible for business opportunities from the West?
This is the vital for Ukraine. This is absolutely necessary for Ukraine. And if you ask me what kind of reform we need the most, three things. First, most urgent, most immediate. This is the seventh step, which was mentioned by the Ursula von der Leyen, the President of the European Commission, as a condition for candidacy, for launching the pre-accession talks with the European Union, with the European Commission now. 7 now. And this is what I am as a leader, not only the fifth president, but as a leader, the second biggest parliamentary fraction, we are pushing in the parliament. Point number 2.
Do we have a political consensus about such changes?
I hope. I wish. Unfortunately, not everybody vote when that happened, but politically people support it.
No more oligarchy in Ukraine?
After the full-fledged aggression, Ukraine is different. We don't have anymore the political support for the Russian-oriented forces, and most of the oligarch was Russian-oriented. We don't have anymore the condition for these oligarch words, but we have two dangers. Danger number one is now we can have creating the new oligarch connected with the power because they're using their instrument to do that, and we shouldn't allow that. And second, we have a very powerful oligarch Kolomoisky, who was close to the Kolomoisky, who was stealing about $10 billion from Ukraine, which is under investigation, under the famine in the United States, in the United Kingdom, and he's still not in the investigation in Ukraine. This is
Do you think that the breakdown between two societies, which were so close before, I mean Russian and Ukrainian, is so deep today that the future of collaboration is just under the big question mark? Do you think it's possible one day to find the old approach between two nations?
You should understand that the wound Ukrainian people has from Russia is for generation. Every single person has lost very close person. Can you imagine that I only last week was on the funeral of 13 my friends, which were killed in Ugledar, in Bakhmut, in Marinka, in Avdiivka. This is enormously difficult. This is like in hell. And the most phrase Ukraine speaking, never forgive, never forget. Mm-hmm. For even thinking about that, we need a two-factor, deputinization and free Ukrainian soil. Mm-hmm. Without that, main enemy, the devil for Ukrainian would be Russia. And this is not only Putin, because this is not Putin who killed our people in Bucha or Mariupol. This is not Putin who tortured Ukrainian prisoners of war. This is not Putin who demonstrated the barbarian approach. And this is the Russian people. And this is completely different. Mm-hmm.
So the gap for generations. What about the last question about relations with Poland and relations between two governments? As you know, there was a restriction about agricultural products coming from Ukraine last weeks. And finally, we work on that, you know, the transportation. What was the echo of this decision in Ukraine?
First of all, I want to again use this opportunity to thank Polish people, because you demonstrate the leadership, not only in giving us finance, not only in the accepting the displaced person, but also you were the leader and the first who supplied the weapons for us. And with this situation, the stopping Ukrainian transit of agriculture was shock we had simply do not expect. Why? Because this is not about the money. This is not about the business climate. This is not about the economy. Ukraine has destroyed Russia destroyed 35% of Ukrainian economy, 50% of the Ukrainian energy sphere, 70% of Ukrainian iron and steel industry and chemical industry, which was the basis for Ukrainian export. And now the agriculture is the 65% of our export. This is the question for survive, for millions of jobs, for billions of the budget revenues. And definitely we should find out some solution through the compensation of Polish farmers, but not the blocking, the legal.
So you believe that we are able to find a problem, like how to solve this?
I think that we should find out a solution, not only within a Polish framework, because this is, if you are a member of the custom union as a European Union, this is illegal, because you should provide the coordinated custom policy. Mm-hmm. And you should be, I'm happy if we redistribute it to other European Union member states, but this is the worst solution to stop the Ukrainian trucks who delivering the agricultural product. Now we have a 30 kilometers line standing, and there is no any explanation.
Prime Minister of Poland tomorrow in here in Katowice. Maybe you can speak with him and explain what was the mistake, or maybe it's not a mistake, but it's a matter to be saluted.
I'm happy to do that. and I would be happy to meet anybody. Mr. Kaczynski, who I know very well because I have a lots of meetings during my presidency. Prime Minister, Minister of Economic Development and Trade. I met him yesterday and speak a little bit because of the short period what to do. We should find out a solution, and this solution shouldn't be the prohibition, the close the border, because this is unacceptable between the partners. This is the peanuts, and if the question possible to solve with the money, this is just expenditure. This is not a problem.
Yep.
And let's transfer this problem, mainly connected only with the election, to the expenditure. And let's see, okay, how we can solve it. But please, do not create a very survival problem for Ukraine. We very much appreciate to your nation. Please keep same high standard for our cooperation, because we are absolutely confident. We fighting now for Poland, and we paying significantly more price than the compensation of respectable Polish farmers.
Thank you very much.
It's a pleasure.
Dziękujemy Państwu.